Ready, right? That's what at least we're all trying to convince ourselves. So it's all good. It's all good. So thank you once again for joining me. So for those of you that were able to go into our first round of training, thank you for that. So what we did last week is the AM Resorts basics. So I'm not really going to review it other than to say for those of you who missed the training, if you want to take a picture of the one key slide that we reviewed, so you could certainly go. I think you guys have the presentation from last week recorded where somebody can access it, but this is the one slide that goes over all of our brands. So that's just a quick flashback to last week. So take a screenshot if you need to, but that kind of gives all the brand breakdowns. So I know it's a lot of information. So for those of you whose heads did not explode last week, because again, I know how overwhelming it is, especially because all of you are coming from, being brand new to having some experience in the industry. It's overwhelming. It's a lot of information. But what I shared with you guys last week is AM Resorts really has amazing travel agent resources. So you don't have to memorize what I'm sharing with you today. So today's education lesson is really about the living and breathing travel agent resources that we have for you guys. We are one of the fastest growing hotel brands in the all inclusive marketplace. And I know you guys, I started out as a full time agent. I'll say 1999. So, we're getting the wrinkle cream going. But I started out in 1999. And when you sell the world, you kind of have to narrow your focus to kind of become an expert. Or if you're just choosing to learn a little bit about travel, it's always helpful to know that you're going to an expert resource, which is the resources I'm going to show you are the ones that are approved by the company, the ones that we update sometimes almost weekly, depending upon updates that the hotels share with us. So
Andy, quick question. Are you sharing anything with us?
I am not sharing anything right now, but I'm about to in a minute.
Okay.
I did
Thank
flash
you.
the oh, hold on. Maybe it didn't take for you guys to see the brand pyramid screen. Hold on.
No, we didn't see that one.
You didn't see that one. See, I switched it too fast. I was like, I just want to flash it, but too fast. Mm-mm-mm. There you go. Let me get to that slide and then so show screen. Boom. All right, let me reshare that. So, again, I don't want to rehash what I went over last week, but we do have so many hotels. This is just a quick brand slide that shows you guys all of our brands. So, for those of you who have the ability to go back and look at training from before, or if we need to revisit it and do it again at a later date, but these are all of our brands. So, we have 8 brands. There's pretty much 6 of them that you guys will be working with for the most part. And like I said, we continue to grow. So I just want to make sure you guys had that quick refresher from last week. And then I'm going to get out of there. And then what I'm going to talk about today is the agent resources that we have for you guys. So it's an amazing industry to try to master. And as I always joke, the minute you think you know something, something changes. So, one thing I wanted to address is last week while we were on our call, it was just when the CDC was announcing the new requirements for clients returning to the US to have a COVID test within 3 days. So, it took us about 24 hours to get this information out to you guys in the marketplace, but I'm just sharing this is on amresorts.com. So, this is the full blown consumer site. But the reason I wanted to show you this here is this is what your guests could be referencing. So if you go to AM Resorts, you click on the COVID policy. I believe, as things are updated, they'll repost the posting date of here. Um, there's a couple links in here. So we're doing the antigen testing. There is a link for PCR testing. More information here. And then the CDC, there's a link to the CDC guidelines, but then also the attestation form that they need. And then our enhanced programs, which is move the date, save the rate. And there's more information about that down here. And as you continue going, there's travel credits. And then this is just a chart of when hotels reopened. Okay. So some of this information, like the chart of the hotels that reopen, I am going to show you where it's located on the specific agent facing pages, which do require password. But again, just really quickly, I just wanted to kind of go over this with you guys. So again, we were waiting for it last week to be released, and that happened right after our call last week. So keep an eye on the consumer facing website. But what I really want to focus on today, so hopefully a lot of you already have a login for our AMR agents website. So let me get that page up and then I will show my screen again. For those of you who are new to the industry, you may not have access to your own personal IATA card, but I believe that Archer Travel uses an IATA for its agency identification. Is that correct? Like when you guys call a tour operator, you give your IATA number when you make a booking or inquire. Is that right? Hello?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So the reason I bring that up is our system, for whatever reason, does not accept CLIA numbers. I've heard that CLIA charges a lot of money for us to access that list without, things like that. So if you are a new agent that has never signed up for the AMR agent page, you would follow the links for not a member yet and register now. Obviously, I have been signed up for a while, so I'm going to log in as me. So it's just thinking about it. My husband's working from home today too, so my internet is like, mercy, mercy. So anyway, um, this is the AMR agents page. So again, once you create a username and profile and fill out your AMR rewards profile, you're good. So once you're logged in, I do want to point out, in order to use our AM rewards program, which is the third part of my training next week, you will have to go in here and update your profile to make sure your tax information's in here. So we'll talk more about the rewards program next week. But what I really want to focus on today is the self-training that you can do in here, the resources that are available to you in here. And when I tell you this is super duper extensive, I mean, this is pretty much what the BDM team references every day, because as I say, I'm over 40. I don't want to remember wrong and give you guys bad information to share with your client. It's always important to be correct and forthcoming with your clients. And if you don't know the information, it is okay to say that you don't know and you'll get back to them. So just kind of keep that in mind. I know that's a big hesitation for new agents. The other thing with new agents is you can click anywhere you want on this webpage and you're not going to break anything. So feel free to click away and explore. So just a few things. Anytime you hit the home page from here, it's going to take you back to this AMR homepage. There is a description of our rewards overview. I'm going to kind of skip over agent incentives because I normally go straight to the master agent portal. But if you are new and you are not yet a master agent, what I highly suggest you do is click on this link here, which will take you to our master agent course. And it'll tell you, if you click here and it doesn't automatically open, it'll give you another tab to hit. You could do this at your own pace so that you could see you have to renew this every year. So when I started renewing it last year, I don't know what happened in last October of 2019, but I clearly got interrupted. And then I came back to it in March because I know I always try to renew mine by St. Patrick's Day, which is my best friend's birthday. So once you're 100% done, you want to make sure that you view and download your certificate, because what will happen is if you ever book a master agent rate for yourself, you will need to present this along with your IATA card to actually get checked into the hotel at that reduced master agent rate. So I always recommend saving a copy of it. Again, I've been doing this for so many years. My personal reminder is, I know if I haven't done it by St. Patrick's Day, that's normally my go-to for remembering to do that. So again, master agent course. Once you pass the master agent course, and if your master agent status is active, you'll have access to the second part of the of this menu, which is master agents only. So if you're an active master agent, you will be able to book reduced travel for yourself at the different brands from these links. And again, you have to follow the rules. There is they only are, if you read the full terms and conditions, these rates normally only pop up about 90 days in advance. If you don't see something on the link, it normally means the hotel is, just like anything else, they can't offer every single one of their rooms at a master agent rate. So even if you're seeing regular availability, it doesn't mean that an agent rate's available. So you would use these links to book. If it's not available, I cannot clear any space. So these links, just like when you make bookings for your clients through your tour operator partners, you see it says HSBI link. That is the same type of link that's used here on the agent website. So it is a direct link to the hotel, and they're the ones controlling the amount of rooms at that rate. Once travel rebounds a little bit more, we will be allowed to begin offering our day passes again. It's currently on hold due to COVID. But what a lot of agents do is, so if you started selling cruises, you're like, hey, I want to check out an all inclusive, I don't know, say you are in, Puerto Vallarta for the day. I know some Pacific cruises stop in Puerto Vallarta, and you're like, okay, I've been to Puerto Vallarta before, but I really want to just chillax at a Puerto Vallarta hotel. You could email your master agent certificate to the sales manager and request a day pass for a certain day. So again, this is once COVID's kind of passed, but that's one of the other benefits to master agents. So get you the discounted rates 90 days in advance, get you one complimentary day pass per property per year during non-COVID times. And then also, I know we do not do a lot of FAMs, but there's two key things. If we do have FAMs, when agents apply for those FAMs, we always check to make sure that their master agent status is active. So again, renewing every year, and that they actually are registering their bookings in AM Rewards. So those are the two things. They want to make sure you're an active master agent. They want to make sure you are registering your AMR booking. So you make your bookings with your favorite tour operators and you register. So the other thing in here is this coronavirus tab. So let me move this now that it's out of the way. I always shut the wrong thing. So that reopening chart that you saw on the consumer sites, that is actually located here as well. So the full COVID policy they did add to this site, as well as the reopening chart as far as when hotels opened. Okay. So other notifications are in there as well, but that's the first place I normally go. There are other notifications that get sent out. So when you're creating your profile, you want to make sure you're hitting yes for any promotional or other offers, because normally, if there is, you could see here, one of the last notifications that went out was changes to our directors of sales. So the directors of sales, several of them get moved from hotel to hotel. So Dayanira, who I love, she was a sales manager at Secrets Cap Cana, but they saw a lot of promise, in her, and they put her on the fast track program. So she now got promoted, and she is effective 2 days ago. I'm so happy for her. She is the director of sales at Dreams Palm Beach, Punta Cana. So this is how we as BDMs get our notifications. So normally what happens is, the first thing in the morning, it'll go internally. Then a few hours later, it'll go to the tour operator partners. And then a few hours later, or sometimes the next day, it goes to travel agency partners. So sometimes if you see people talking about things, I and my BDM team normally will not comment on anything until we know we've gotten these notifications. So they get buried in my email. So a lot of times I'll always reference this section first. So just so you guys know, make sure notifications at AM Resorts is accepted on your email list. So we talked about master agents only. Guest offers, this is not my favorite place to look for guest offers, but we could certainly talk about that. I'll show you another section in a moment. If you are not a master agent, so again, because I am a master agent, the system's not great, but it is smart enough to know that I am a master agent. So I'm still seeing master agent rates here. If you're not a master agent, these rates are normally higher, and you can only book them 60 days in advance. So this next tab, which is media site and resources, I'm going to circle back to that because that's where we're going to spend a majority of our time. So I don't want to forget to go over some of these other topics. So we are going to come back to media site and resources. Something that was new, and I know everybody's like, oh my God, I have to go somewhere to see it to be able to sell it. I will tell you that's not true. You have to learn how to sell without experiencing it. Experiencing it for yourself just helps enhance that process. So, with that in mind, I haven't even been to all of our properties. So, I use the media site resources, but we're very lucky that during COVID, we did a lot of live site inspections. So you'll actually see the recordings of some of these live inspections and webinars here for you. Just other ones besides just content. I really thought Secrets Capcana did an amazing job with their live site experience. I also thought that Breathless Cabo San Lucas did an awesome job with their live site inspection. They're the two that really struck out to me that I was like, wow, they really did an awesome job. Um, there is, when we first launched Clean Complete, there's a webinar on that, and I'm going to show you some additional places to find that. What I'm going over with you today, a lot of this information is listed in this webinar, which is the sales resources. But again, I know everybody likes to get to know people and talk to them live. There's a destination weddings training. This is kind of like our inspiration piece before people really felt comfortable traveling again. A lot of our tour operators, we also have add-on packages. So once you have your airfare, your transfers, and your room, there's add-on packages, and we'll talk a little bit about those. And then upselling strategy. So as you guys know, all of the hotels have reduced occupancy. So to make sure your clients have the best experience and to make sure you're making the most commission, that's kind of what that upsell strategies is starting off with. And then Amazing May, that was every May we always pay homage to our travel agent partners. So that was our virtual Amazing May, which is definitely not as fun as the in-person Amazing May. For those of you who are specializing in weddings, I do want to point out this wedding resources tab to you. So again, we're in a password protected area currently. But if you have guests that are looking for wedding guides, these are PDFs that you can download and then send to your guests. So these are okay. These are okay client facing guides. So a lot of the information is on the actual hotel's website as well. But if you wanted to actually say, here's the wedding book for Zoetree Montego Bay, or here's the wedding book for Secrets Capcana, you could download and send those. Some of our hotels are specialized in South Asian or Indian weddings. The online wedding calendars, it actually tells you to go ahead and look at the hotel's website as a reference because a lot of them will note if a day's fully booked or partially booked. We do have an online chat, which is manned kind of like Monday through Friday-ish, but that's really more geared toward brides that have questions, not so much agents. We do have an online wedding request form. So you may want to preview that calendar first just to make sure the date they want is even showing available. And then you can send the request to the wedding. My personal opinion is I know everybody gets very anxious to hand it off to the on site wedding person, which is true. They are the experts. I would still make sure you are the initial contact with the hotel because once the wedding happens, you have to send them a manual commission invoice. So there are a handful of tour operators that will allow you to deposit the wedding through them as well as get paid your commission that way. But since it's not 100% across all tour operators, I just think it's best practice to make sure you initially make the request on your client's behalf. And then that way you can be kind of tagged as the agency of record. And you will still have to send them an invoice, but I just wanted to throw that out there. A lot of our honeymoon and anniversary packages do have free anniversary nights. I'm not going to focus a lot on that right now, but basically, you book the paid nights with the tour operator, and if they earned one or two free comp nights, those have to get requested directly from the hotel. So you kind of have to set up as a two-stop trip. And then FAMs and site inspections. In the past, we've always had romance FAMs. So again, what I talked about, making sure you are a master agent, making sure you are registering your bookings. There's an actual application process for those FAMs. Those FAMs were put on hold. Obviously, I think March was the last one, maybe even February was the last one that left. So we're hoping, I don't know that we'll have them in 2021, but I would hope that by 2022, we'll be able to get back to the true wedding fam. So what normally happens is each BDM, so it may not be your BDM, gets picked to lead the fam, and then people from across, agents from across the US and Canada can apply. So that's why it's really important to make sure you're prioritizing your learning and registering those bookings, because again, that's what will kind of push you through to get approved for those fams. Site inspection is not what you think here. We do have a reduced rate for couples to preview our properties, but I have to be extremely clear with you guys. Do not abuse this promotion. So it's called the Love at First Sight promotion. It basically gives, it's normally the couple that wants to go down, although sometimes it's the mom of the bride and the bride. It's pretty much giving them almost like travel agent rates to go down and preview the property. So, my advice to you is this is the Hail Mary pass that you take advantage of once you have them almost sold. So, in other words, you've checked to see that their wedding date's available. You've gone over wedding packages with them up front to see, what things could possibly cost. You've actually priced out the room for them and gotten an idea of, you know, how many people may be coming to the wedding and stuff like that. And, maybe they have it narrowed down to two properties like, oh, I'm not sure if I want to do Maroma or Akumal. You really want to flush it down to the hotel they want because this is going to allow them to see just that hotel. It is requested. You have to email this form to the wedding coordinator at the hotel. And it's a 3-night maximum, one room, two people. And again, very discounted rates. These are not commissionable. So again, this is never the first thing you talk about with your client. I'll be honest with you. Um, I actually had a guest who was willing to just go down and pay full price. So if you can actually get a paid booking out of it, great. So if you could convince them to just go down and preview it, that's wonderful. If they are looking for a reduced rate because they are going to commit to a group, you could use this form. But again, please be very cautious with it. If people abuse it, they will take it away from us because it is, again, a very reduced rate. It's not always available on the dates that the clients want to travel. But again, this is called the Love at First Sight. So I just wanted to show you guys that. So again, very, very last resource. I know that from the greeting that you guys are from all over the country. So if you're not sure who your BDM is, you can click on our chart. And what it'll do is it will give you the picture of your BDM, the states that they cover, their email, and their phone number. So as a BDM, and you guys too, we're all doing a lot more virtually, or when we can travel, the BDMs are always in their car or on a plane or whatever the case may be. It's always best to email us at our emails because like I've been doing these Jamaica tourist board things in the morning. So like from 9:30 to almost 1 o'clock, I can't pick up the phone because I'm either in the chat room with them or actually presenting, depending upon the day. So it's always best to email us. And then just so you guys know, we do have a team of inside salespeople. Their email is sales, SALES, at amresorts.com. So a lot of times if we are out of office, our out of office will say, I'm traveling, please reach out to sales at amresorts.com and I can get back to you, upon my return. Just please be a little patient. I had somebody who emailed me literally not more than 10 minutes later, they were emailing sales. And all I said was, I'm on a webinar, please be patient. And they knew about the sales email address and the email. So you got to give us a little bit more than 10 minutes. Okay. So the inside sales team is there. They're definitely our backup when we're out of office. But if you see that we're in office, please just give us a little bit of time to reply. You can see how many states we all have. So I think Matt wins the most states. But I have 6 states. So it's every travel agent who lives in Pennsylvania, Delaware, Maryland, DC, Virginia, and West Virginia. Doesn't matter where the agency is located, I am their BDM. So on a good day, I'm outnumbered 6,000 to 1. So please be kind to your BDMs. We're here to help you. We always want to reply in a timely manner, but we'll talk about things to help us reply because sometimes we do have to send it to the hotel. We'll talk about resort contacts in a minute. This is actually normally not where I go to get it because I always would have to be logged into the section. I'm going to show you another way to do it. Customer service, you really should not be reaching out to our AM Resorts customer service unless it's regarding a booking that you chose to make with us directly. Me personally, because Archer Travel has preferred tour operators that will get you better commission and things that you can package everything together, like with your air, with your transfers, with optional sightseeing and all that, I definitely recommend you route it through your tour operator partners. So if they're having issues in destination, most of our tour operator partners have a 24-hour, 24/7 customer service line. So that is definitely what you would do. If you do have somebody that's booked with us directly, that's when you would reach out to our customer service. So the first point of contact is normally the tour operator. And then, if the tour operator is running into some issues, um, you know, and I know there's a longer response time, especially after people get home, but we could certainly say, hey, look, my travel agent followed the proper protocol. They went through like FunJet customer service, but would you mind expediting it, or would you mind, following up or something? So again, you want to make sure you're following all the processes first. Um, we really don't do a good job of social media. I'll be the first to admit. I follow each of the hotels individually. And then with me personally, I have a personal Facebook page. I think on my last webinar with you guys, I invited you to follow me directly. So it's Andrea Hilbert, and then my maiden name, Karp, Karp in parentheses. So you're welcome to follow me. Anytime I'm in destination, I always try to do photos and videos while I'm on property. So that's the initial overview. So before I go into the next part, does anybody have any pressing questions or comments? Because I need to take a drink of water.
Tammy, you got this?
So far we're good?
Yep, so far so good.
All right. So the part that I really wanted to show you guys is if you click on this media site and resources, it's going to take you to a new page. And this page has an advisory because these are our copyrighted photos and images of our hotels. So you cannot use these photos as your like Facebook homepage or anything like that. You can't be like, look at the great picture I took on vacay. These are the ones that end up on our corporate website, official corporate thing. So not to say that they can't be used correctly, but again, you just have to make sure you're following those guidelines. So agree to terms and conditions of the site. So the reason I wanted to show you guys this separately or last is because you'll see in a minute, it is super involved. But I also want you to notice anything from this part of the website. So anything from the media site download, this is not password protected. So there is a lot of great information on here. You're going to be very tempted to hit forward or copy and paste a link to your clients. Do not do that, because what will happen is it will route them back to this page. Literally, they're going to have everything that they need and be less likely to book with you, because and I'll show you in a minute, this resort product guide is like every hotel has one. It's like the Bible for every hotel. So just be very cautious. And again, I'm going to use some real life examples of how we could use this and also how you can share it. So once you're on this page, so you could see I actually have it saved to my Google favorites. So I just type AM Resorts media site, saved it to my favorites. And because again, I use this every single day. I don't think there's been a day that I haven't been in this page. So wherever you are on this page, if you hit this white box, it's going to take you back to the home page. I go on it so much it stops asking me like to accept terms and conditions. So most people aren't that curious anymore. I don't know why, because we're all travelers and we're all supposed to be curious. But if you hover over the word AM Resorts, the reason I wanted to show you this section is last week I had a couple questions, and some of the questions are addressed here. So the first thing is, if you hover over the word resources, so remember I talked about clean complete verification, there is this section. If you click on here, it takes you to another part of our webpage, which is our promo in a bag. But this is the infographic for what we do back of house. So again, I would personally download it and forward it to your client separately in an email if you need it. There is a master messaging booklet. There's also some videos. So again, you want to, and again, I don't know that they need to see the video. I think sometimes this little info thing is enough. It is downloadable in English, Spanish, and Portuguese. And then there's additional guidelines. Okay. So that's the first thing I wanted to show you. Again, I'm going to bounce back to the main page. So that's clean complete. Again, hovering over AM Resorts. If you go down to your resources, that's where the clean complete was. If you continue down to sales tools, you will see meet the sales team. So for somebody that maybe doesn't have an AM Resorts agent login and they're like, who the heck's my BDM? They can literally go to the media site and find out who their BDM is. The other thing too, not well, I should say not too many. I had a lot of clients who were golfers, so this is a cheat sheet to some of the hotels that offer greens fees. But the one question last week was about accessibility. So our hotels are not in America, so I don't think any of them are truly ADA compliant because that A stands for America. But if you want to kind of get an idea of what some properties can do for people that maybe have some mobility issues, you want to click on this accessible room grid. Now, I will be forthcoming. This needs to be updated, as does one other chart, but at least it gives us a start. So, last week when I talked about Zoetry Paraiso de la Bonita, that was the really cute hotel that the original 90 rooms were the love letter, like the husband architect to the wife, and all the rooms are named after the places they traveled. Well, that building, that hotel does not have any accessible rooms. So as beautiful as it is and as cute as a love story is, if you have somebody that really needs an accessible room, it's off the list. However, if you have somebody like my father-in-law who's just too scared, lazy, whatever, to get his knees replaced, so he can normally walk okay, but he just can't go up and down stairs, I could book him at Zoetry Paraiso, but I would have to make sure he was in at the Impressions building. And the way you guys would know that is it actually says Zoetry Impression, Ocean View, Oceanfront, whatever room. There's only 9 rooms in that building, so it's really hard to sometimes get them. But again, so use that as a guideline. Other examples. So does a hotel have an accessible room? Secrets Aqua Mall is a newer build, so it doesn't surprise me that they actually have accessible rooms. The hotel does have elevators. The category that's accessible is the Junior Suite Tropical View, and then there's additional notes. So it is available as a double-sized bed. It does have the oversized door, the peephole, blah 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 blah. So again, is it truly ADA compliant? This one's pretty close to what I would say is ADA compliant, but again, this is what I would use as a talking point with your guests. In a lot of these, you'll see 6 wheelchairs available on property. Just as me personally, as an agent, having dealt with this both as an agent and as a BDM, if your client has mobility issues, they're almost better off renting a wheelchair to use for their entire trip, either from the US or they can work and rent one in destination. So I know you guys have multiple preferred tour operators. I'm used to Amstar, which works with the ALG brands. I had a client that it was actually a paraplegic who was going to a destination wedding. We worked with the resort to make sure that they could move out existing bedding because Amstar helped them to rent like a hospital bed and everything for that room. So, and again, they need special transfers if for like the lifts and stuff like that. So just kind of keep those things in mind when you truly have people that have severe accessibility issues. Also, a lot of our hotels, so some of the newer hotels are really good for people. And again, I suggested somebody use Amstar to get a scooter rental delivered to the property. So like a Secrets Aqua Mall has some, flatter walkways. Now Onyx has flatter walkways, Dreams, Plymouth Harris, things like that. So if you have somebody, use this as a guide because again, they will need a room. But if you just want to get some more input from your BDM as far as how the properties are laid out, and what it looks like, we could do that. I'll show you where to see resort pictures. But again, I just wanted to bring that to your attention. So the downside to these PDFs is I don't think it normally lets you hit the back button. We'll see if this lets me do it today. Oh, it did. Yay. Sometimes it doesn't let you, so you kind of have to log back in, which is why I have it saved all my favorites. So that's the first thing. So again, under AM Resorts, under Sales Tools, that was the accessible room grid. So the second thing that we get asked a lot for is, what hotels have connecting rooms? So I'm going to open up the connecting room chart. And again, this I know needs to be updated because it still says now Natura and it is Dreams Natura. So many of our tour operator partners and hotels will actually, when you pull up and you look at your categories, you'll see something that the categories actually called family room. So Junior Suite family room, Preferred Club family room. It will give you the heads up right here. Are the family rooms connecting? I always cross-check this in another section, which I'll show you, but kind of use this as a guideline. So Dreams Vista Cancun, they sell them as family rooms. And then our family rooms connecting, yes. So yes, Dreams Vista has connecting rooms. Yes, they sell them as family suites. So when you're booking it, it's good to go. They also probably have some other rooms that are connecting. And then sometimes there's an additional fee to connect those rooms. So sometimes what you'll see is the family rooms already include those additional fees up front versus paying them manually to the hotel at check-in. So I say use this first, but what I recommend doing, and we could pick on Dreams Vista, once you are in the media site, the resort product guide, this is what I refer to as each hotel has its own Bible. So this is definitely the document you do not want your clients to get a hold of, because this then gives them all of the back of the house expert information. So I'm going to pick on Dreams. And just because we were talking about connecting rooms, I'm going to specifically pick on Dreams Vista. And even though I'm doing my Duolingo, I know habla Espanol that well. So I'm going to click on English. I hope you're all okay with that. And once you're in here, again, you can see these are very extensive documents. They're over 20 pages long. And if you go to the bottom of the page, you will see the last time the marketing department updated it. So normally if something changes at the hotel, oh my God, this one was updated today. What are the chances? So if you sent this to a client 2 days ago, the information may be a little off, which is why we say do not send these to clients. This is for your eyes only. And again, if there's something useful, I will show you. I use the snipping tool when needed. So let's just talk again briefly about accommodations. You can click on the word accommodations. It's going to take you to the accommodations chart. So 2 reasons for this. One, I like to prove that a family room is connecting. So if you see deluxe family suite ocean view, it's either king and 2 queens or a total of 4 queen beds. And then we could scroll down and actually read the description, which it will tell you it's 2 guaranteed. Here they were really good and said 2 bedrooms, 2 bedrooms, 2 bedrooms. So this one might need to add more bedding in that. So we'll read that room description in a minute. Also maximum occupancy, maximum number of adults, and then total quantity of room. So normally if you're doing an FIT or individual reservation, when you make a booking on the link, it will say Deluxe Ocean View King, Deluxe Ocean View Double or Queen or whatever it is, and that's the category you're booking. However, if you do a contracted group, the bedding is always on request because the contracts do not go over the link. Individual rooms. So if you have an individual room with the group booking code in it, like a flex group, you're normally booking an individual booking and booking the room and the bedding. If you do a contracted group, your client is going to get whatever bedding is left. So it's really important to know, like for instance, with some of these rooms. So like the Preferred Club Deluxe Ocean Plunge Pool Room, there's only 11 king bedrooms, 2 queen bedrooms. That's a pretty even split. I'll show you a couple. There are hotels where it's very lopsided. The other thing too is keeping in mind some rooms don't even come double bedded. So if you had somebody that's like, oh, I want a master suite with 2 double beds, you could tell them right up front it doesn't exist. So you're going to be searching all day long in your tour operator booking engine. You're never going to see that room be listed as a double. So that's really, really, really important to know. So again, that's the first way I use that chart, is to kind of just cross-check the bedding and how many there are. And then you could go down. This will tell you what's in every room. And then it goes down and it gives you a room description for the different rooms. So I think I wanted to check out. So the deluxe family ocean view. So in addition to the above amenities, the family connecting suite features 2 rooms, 1 deluxe ocean with a king and a second with 2 queens. So boom, there's your verification. So again, that's kind of how I use the resort product guide initially. That's probably the main thing that I use it for, the first thing I use it for. So since I just talked about that, any specific questions to either the connecting room grid, the accessible grid, or just what the resort product guide actually means, and at least one of the tools that can help you? All right. So what I want to do is I'm going to pick on another hotel that is normally a little bit more fun to talk about. So again, I'm going to just hit the media site. It's going to take me back to my main page. So just really quickly, once it comes up, I am going to pick on the Breathless brand. So again, I'm going to go to Resort Product Guide. And we are looking to redesign this website, by the way, but thanks to COVID, that budget just got shot to you know what. So this will in the future be easier to navigate, better labeled, more modern, faster moving. But in the meantime, I will take it because again, we have such a variety of properties. So I'm going to pick on Breathless Punta Cana. Again, I'm going to open up the guide in English. So you could take your time and go through the different things that we'll discuss with you. So again, it always starts off with if you have somebody that wants to know the address of the hotel, maybe they're staying, leaving kids with grandmom and grandpop, that's the address, that's the phone number. The description of the hotel as far as property overview, property description, that you kind of see on the main website. One thing that's important to know, specific here, you'll see guests have unlimited access to an additional 8 restaurants at Now Onyx Resort and Spa next door. So in this case, if you have adult only people that are staying for a longer period of time and want variety, that's a great option. And then if we were to look at the Now Onyx product guide, it would say adults have access to Breathless. So those are 2 great properties, especially if you have people that, if children need to be in the wedding or attend the wedding, you have to book the wedding at Now Onyx. But if you have guests that just want to stay at Now Onyx and not be near kids, you could do that. So I throw that out there. These are 2 hotels that work really well for that. This goes over the unique selling points, what we mean by what's included with unlimited luxury, which again is what we call our all inclusive at that level. Credit cards that they accept, because again, like spas, stuff is going to be extra. Location information. It gives you average high and low temperatures. It tells you how far away it is from other properties. And again, as a kind of a reminder, if you've never been to the area, if somebody asks you like, what tours should I book? Local points of interest is just a reminder of you to maybe when you're quoting somebody something, throw in a tour so that they could be like, oh, well, I'm here, I could do this. So just a few reminders there. Again, it goes into the accommodations chart. So I like Breathless because this one is much more obvious because a lot of the rooms have way more king beds than double beds. So like for instance, the Exhale Club Junior Suite Pool View, there are 71 king bedded rooms and 15 double bedded rooms. So if you're doing a group and you're booking it as a contracted group, if they need a double bed, they may not get it. So that's where I normally have a conversation with the guest and say, hey, we're doing a contracted group, bedding is on request. You may not end up with a double bed because there's only 15 of them. You're probably going to end up with a king. Are you comfortable actually sharing a bed with your roommate? Because I know sometimes like bridesmaids bunk up or groomsmen bunk up to save money. You can have that conversation with them. It's better to address it up front versus them yelling at you later, telling you that you're the worst travel agent on the face of the earth. Better to address it. And again, I know it costs more for a single, but if somebody's really adamant about not potentially getting stuck in that situation, you could address that with them. Or hey, maybe they're trying to hook up at the wedding. I don't know. No judgment. So, but again, just as a point of conversation so that again, you come across as the expert, you're giving them counsel, they can make the decision. You're just telling them what could potentially happen. So again, what's in the rooms? This is going to go into Exhale Club. So Breathless Exhale Club is what we call preferred club. So that's where you have your lounge with your check-in and check-out, all those room category descriptions. You have your, again, we talked about this, small dogs. We do not encourage people to bring their dog on vacation, by the way. It's very specific. There's only certain rooms. And again, this tends to be because we do get domestic guests traveling. This is more having to do with them because for anybody who's ever tried to check a pet through TSA, it's a pain in the patootie. So again, we don't encourage them. There are only certain rooms that allow the dogs. The dogs have to stay in the room. So it's not like pups of Instagram, like, yo, doggy at the beach. Definitely not anything like that. Me personally, I wish they would totally stop the whole program together, but it's not something that's used often. We do allow service animals. So dining information, this is great because it gives you the hours of operation for the bars and restaurants, and it will also tell you the dress code. So again, for me personally, I always coach. I used to always make a very detailed packing list for my guests, and I would make sure that the gentleman always, even if they wore it for dinner, took it off and wore the same outfit again the next night, nobody knows you, who cares? Always make sure they have a collared shirt, long pants, and closed-toed shoes. So like the shirts that like Charlie Sheen used to wear on Two and a Half Men, like those Havana shirts, pair of khakis, and like closed-toed shoes like docksiders or boat shoes or whatever you want to call them. My husband will throw them on for dinner, wear them for dinner, and then as soon as we come back to the room, he changes, and then we'll go to the show in shorts, or we might hang out, at a bar, whatever, in shorts. So just keep that in mind. Sip, Savor, and See is something that's more or less on pause due to COVID, but normally guests could, with the help of their concierge, visit another hotel for dinner, but the guests have to pay for their own transportation. So remember the other thing I showed you, how far apart the hotels are from one another. I hate to say, I think that's kind of a way to discourage people to want to visit another hotel that they're not at. But again, due to COVID, it's paused. This hotel happens to give you an idea of what some of the private dinners would cost, but when in doubt, we can always email the concierge. General activities offered at the hotel. This is not the daily activity schedule. It does change all the time. And I know sometimes people are really anxious to get that, but sometimes if you just tell them kind of some of the stuff that goes on, it'll chill them out. But if somebody's going, it's closer to their date of travel and you want to email the concierge, we can certainly ask, but I certainly wouldn't bombard concierges with those sort of, hey, what's the daily activities? Because, most people are going to go with the flow anyway. So a lot of people ask if hotels have heated pools. That's listed here as well. And then many of our hotels have golf. As we said, some of them offer complimentary greens fees, some do not. In this case, Breathless did not list out each hotel, the hours and the fees. So in this case, you do have to email the concierge. But some of the other hotels will say this course, this time of day, this is the cost, that type of thing. So it does vary by hotel, but the golf information or who to turn to is in here. Same thing for spa. So a lot of times on the consumer facing website, you'll actually see a PDF booklet of the spa treatments and costs. But I know in the Breathless Resort product, in the resort context, the spa manager is also listed as well. So again, just an idea. And then as we continue on, it's going to go into romance and weddings. So remember how I showed you the weddings tab and it had those really pretty books? I don't have time for all that to download. So when somebody asks me, what category do I need to book to get a complimentary wedding? I go here. It's faster. So for the basic wedding package, which is up to 10 guests, it would normally cost somebody $9.99. But if you book them 7 nights in a Hale Club Junior Suite Partial Ocean or higher, they get it for free. Now, I know some tour operators will let you pull up 2 room categories side by side to price compare the difference between the two. So just as a tip as an agent, you may want to price out both, because say the difference in room is $700, it's definitely cheaper than them booking the room they originally asked for and paying $9.99. If you're doing a group, whether it's a group share or a contracted room, you have to have 5 rooms, a minimum of 3 nights or more. But again, because sometimes you start earning comps at 5 rooms or more, comp rooms count against you in this case. So I always say, even if you have a group, still try to book your bride and groom in the category that gets them the wedding for free, if that's kind of where they're at. So also different packages, so you could read all those, the costs associated with that. And then we do have vow renewals. We do have honeymoon and anniversary packages. Now, most hotels offer 2 sort of honeymoon or anniversary packages. The complimentary one is perfectly great, but some of the hotels, if you actually book a better room category, give you more stuff. So like in this case for Breathless, it's Make the Fish Blush. Again, they have to be 7 nights or more in Junior Suite Partial Ocean View, but they get like a couples massage and stuff as part of it versus just like, hey, happy anniversary banner on your door. So just kind of keep that in mind. And there's guidelines, like they have to be traveling either over their honeymoon or within a certain part, that sort of thing. And the reason I picked on Breathless is Breathless offers a bachelorette party. This is a per person add-on. So remember I said in the presentation, the webinar section, it was, how to make more money selling add-ons. So if you know somebody's having a bachelorette party, you should be like, ding, Breathless is probably a good brand for them in the first place. But then you can, once you book the rooms, you can add on the actual bachelorette package, which is $135 per person. Now they do have to have at least 2 rooms for 3 nights each based on a double room. Okay. But that way they get all these other little goodies. The same policy applies for the bachelor package. So again, you have to have double rooms, 2 rooms for 3 nights each. But again, it's an add-on that once you have the room in the booking, some of the tour operators have it loaded in, and you'll make 10% commission on those packages. So that can add up, especially if you have a larger. And then if you know what, if all hell goes to hell in a handbasket, I know some people are really losing it living at home with their boyfriend or significant other or spouse, whatever. We do have a breakup package. So Breathless truly covers all of the bases. Now, this one is a package based on having 6 people, but I always joke because the funny thing is what you'll get to do is one of the things is they will do put your ex's face on a piñata and you get to whack the crap out of it. So if you have somebody with a little anger issue, you don't want them beating the car up in the US because they'll get a felony and they'll lose their passport. But if they need to let it out, put them in a Breathless and make sure you add the breakup package. So vice versa, if everything's hunky dory and everybody wants to get together to celebrate, say you have a 30th, 40th, 50th, 60th, 70th birthday, there is actually a birthday party package called the Birthday Bash. $5.99 for up to 10 people, each additional person $60. But the nice thing is they're acknowledging the birthday and they're making sure they do have a private dinner with birthday cake as part of that. So you don't have to really finagle too much about that. And then they also get a group photo. So each person in the group gets a copy of the picked group photo. So currently, Breathless is the only brand that has this package, but I sincerely hope that it goes to other brands because I think it kind of covers what we as agents would ask for our clients when they're doing that type of a celebration. Meetings and groups, most of my agents are doing leisure travel, but I always make sure people know what the meeting room layouts are because quite honestly, depending upon what is going on, an event may need to be moved inside due to weather. So it is a diagram of the meeting area space and it tells you, depending upon how it's set up, how many people can fit. And again, with social distancing in place, this was the pre-COVID occupancy. So just keep in mind it's probably half that right now. And then I know that there's a property map on every consumer website, but if your client has not found that and they're like, hey, can you tell me, do you have a copy of the resort map? I always go here. And then this is where I'll take the snipping tool and I'll just go ahead and I will snip this. And then this way it does not link back to them. So I will go in, I will say, hey, whomever, this is a copy of the resort map. So I'll, whatever, I'll just go in, I will start a new message and I'll be like, da 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 da. And then boom, whoops, here's a copy of the resort map. And you can actually paste that snip in a document. So again, you want to be very cautious about what you're sharing with people, but one of the safer ways to share it is to actually go ahead and use the snipping tool. So based on that, I know you guys are like, oh my God, she's talking so much. This is way too much information. My brain is about to explode. So let me take a breather and see if anybody has any questions about that.
Andy, we do have a few questions.
Okie dokies.
One, you went over it, but we'll still just breeze through it. So if they have a contracted group and they request 2 beds, it's not guaranteed. So it's
correct.
Whatever it is.
Correct. It's a request only. And again, depending upon the hotel, if the hotel has a lot of double bedded rooms, they may really truly get it. But I think you're doing yourself and your clients a disservice if you say, hey, look, bedding is on request. You may not get the bedding you wanted. Are you okay if? And that at least lets you have the conversation with the guests so that when they get there, like, oh my God, blah, 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 blah. I've had that happen. So I've lived it. I'm just trying to pass the knowledge down.
Another question, is there a way to see which resorts are family friendly or adults only resorts?
So that was covered in my first training. But if you were not 100% sure, most of the time in the resort product guide, so like when I showed you Breathless, it said for adults 18 and older. But the truly, just so you know, as of today, the 2 truly adult only brands that we have is Secrets and breathless. So everybody there has to be an adult 18 or older. The one hotel that is adult oriented, but children are allowed to book at this hotel, they pay an adult rate and there's no kids clubs, is Zoetree. So Zoetree, you generally don't have kids going to because number one, they have to pay the adult rate. And number two, for anybody looking at what's at the hotel, you do not see any kids clubs. But I will say that Heidi Klum, her booty boy, and her kids did spend Zoetree Christmas with us one year because Zoetree in Punta Cana does have a 4-bedroom villa. So there was enough room for her, the boy du jour, and the nanny and the kids. So, and her
Another
kids probably eat sushi. Like they're probably not like, I need chicken nuggets, you know? So.
for the master agent course, they know that it's good for a year. Is
Mhm.
it from the time that you certified, or is it like a fiscal year?
It is. That's why I said you want to print out your certificate. So you saw on mine, it said my certificate. I completed it March 11th, 2020. So I need to make sure by, or I'm sorry, by March 11th, 2020. So by March 11th, 2021, I have to redo that.
Okay.
So it's from the year, it's from the date that you passed your last module. That is the date that will appear on your certificate. That's why I said to save it and print it out. And you can even set like a calendar reminder in Outlook or Google, whatever you use to be like, hey, retake master agent course.
Someone asked, where is the PDF file located? It was a lot of them, so I don't know which one she's referring to.
So there's a couple of them. So yeah, so it's talking specifically on the media site. So there's a couple different PDFs. The first one had to do with if you're looking for under sales tools, there's a PDF for the connecting room chart and accessible room grid. Those are the ones that most people don't know are there. Like I have agents that they're like, I know everything. I'm not going to go to your webinar. I'm like, and then they send me an email question. I'm like, if you took to my webinar, you would know that's where it was. So I try to be nice. So like try to take a deep breath, but we do have the information. It is a little hidden. So we're again, future goal, trying to make sure we redo that. So those are the two that most people don't know exist, but are very helpful. The other PDFs is so once you, so whether you have not been to a hotel, so like for instance, I haven't been to like a lot of our properties. Like I haven't been to Dreams Carousel because it's new. I haven't been to the new Dreams Vista because it's new. So if somebody asks me a question about something like, hey, do the rooms have sofa beds? I'm going to click on the hotel they're asking me about. And then I'm going to go to that section to then see if it's in there. If the answer is not in there, which I will give you an example. I want to say it was Dreams Vista, maybe Dreams Natura. One of the rooms, somebody said, oh, does it have a sofa bed in it? And it did not say in the resort product guide. So at that point, what I did was I went in and I sent an email to the sales manager. And I said, clarification, I titled it clarification regarding, well, I'll show you. I think I'll send it. Let me see. It's very important to have a good subject line in your email because if it's a yucky one, number one, it will end up in spam. And number two, um, they don't have like, I mean, they do speak English, but you know, it's definitely more helpful to be able to have something listed. So let me see, this was yesterday. Sorry, it was such a good email and I had all the stuff in it. It's faster than me trying to recreate it. Oh, here we go. So room category clarifications. So what I did was I had sent an email to Roberto Ramirez. He's the sales manager at Dreams Natura. And I included the agent. I said, hey, Maria, doing well, blah, blah, blah. I said, I haven't been to the property yet, but it appears there are not any dividers between the swim out rooms. And what I did was I included a picture of a swim out room from the media site. So that was my first tool. But again, CCing the hotel to be like, yo, this is the question. You may want to take some other shots. Based on what I'm seeing on the media site, it looks like we need to update connecting room grid since the property is still labeled at now Natura. So that's why I knew that that was wrong because I just had somebody bring it up to me. I said, Roberto, we'll have the team work with marketing to get the connecting room updated. With the change to Dreams, it should say yes to family suites since they do offer a family suite ocean view. So again, I'm just kind of politely letting him know you got to like zhuzh your stuff and send it to us so marketing can fix it. And then Dreams Natura product guide looks like the only category bookable connecting is this. So like I was very clear about, I looked for the information. It's what you gave me is either I found an error or I still have more questions. So I'm going back to the source, which is somebody who is at the hotel that can verify that to make sure we get those answers. So, so that's one possible, one kind of example and again, you could see just how detailed I was, because you can't just like ask a question and be like, well, did you look? I'll be like, I looked, So, the other thing too, and this because I was going to use your email as the example. So does anybody have any more questions about the PDFs?
No questions as of now.
Okay. So, I'm going to go back to your, let me see if I have it here. Sorry, I'm just trying to move this smaller. So you started off your email. Your email was just like, hey, I got people going, blah, blah, blah.
Are you trying to show, are you sharing it?
Yeah, sorry. It's still on my old screen. Let me go back. Can you see it now? My
Yes.
Outlook? Okay. So you sent me the email, which is a pretty good email for the first thing. You're like, hey, my client's having if you look at the original subject line of the email, let's see. You just said clients coming to Dreams Tulum. I'm like, well, that's good. So at least I know what property you're talking about, but it would be helpful to have more information. So in the body of the email, you gave me more information, and I was like, okay, I had to ask you a couple more questions so that when we sent it to the hotel, we could be specific. So when I sent it to the hotel, I included you. I sent it to the reservations manager and the concierge because it had to do with the birthday celebration. So number one, the reservations team wants to make sure it's noted in the booking. And the number two, the concierge is the one that normally helps put the banners on the door. So when I sent it to the hotel, I put 2 FunJet bookings arriving 14th January, Innocent's birthday celebration. And we made sure that we knew what room Innocent was in. So they knew which room to note the birthday in. So even though everybody's celebrating, we want to make sure that they know that that's who it is. So, and because it was a Dreams, there was not a birthday bash package. But if there was a birthday bash package, I would have followed up with you and said, guess what, Kanisha, you can add birthday bash package and look at all the stuff that'll make them feel special. So, but that's what I wanted to kind of point out. So you see the difference in that email and making sure I know what you're talking about, the hotel knows how to find it. So
Yes.
So keeping it simple, but also just making sure, people have enough information to go off of as well, which I know, and it's a finesse kind of thing. Like it took me a while to figure out like, okay, like, how can I make it so it's almost like you want to make it that somebody almost doesn't have to open up the email. So like if you have an email that says need help, I'm like, I know you all love me. You're just checking on me to see how the day is. Like, I know you need help. So please give me something to go off of. Please give the hotel something to go off of. So having that sort of clarity and kind of heads up is always very helpful in getting a good reply and avoiding spam filters.
Got it.
And those resort contacts, so this is what I was going to show you. You saw it on your main AMR agent page when you log in, but I don't have time to keep getting logged in and logged out and have it kick me out. So I leave this on my favorites and I use the resort contacts from here. So in your case, we're like, okay, it's Dreams Tulum. We're going here, and I'm like, oh, look, okay, so I'm going to cut, and you can see these emails don't have anybody's name in them, which is like, I'm not going to remember that. So I will just literally cut and paste the one I need, and I will open up a new email to send it. And you always want to go closest to the source. So if it has something to do with requesting rooms near each other, reservations manager's fine. If you have, like we did in a birthday, you want to make sure the reservation's noted, but you also want to tell the concierge because the concierge is the one that kind of coordinates everybody feeling special. Now, we talked about the day passes, or if you guys are visiting, if you need a site inspection and you're already staying at the hotel, we could just email the the actual sales manager at the hotel. So a lot of times, surprised they don't have just a regular sales manager list. Oh, here it goes, sales manager, tour and travel. So I would email Jose, but a lot of times what I do is I will forward, like if you have your master agent rate booked, I would hit forward on that email so they could see your check-in, check-out date, your confirmation number, and I would say in the subject, so I don't know, say you're arriving the 14th, say you're checking out the 18th. You don't want to do site inspections on arrival or departure days generally. And the hotels are busiest on Saturdays and Sundays, so they normally don't do site inspections on Saturdays or Sundays. So I would say, okay, if I looked at those dates, so I would say subject line, um, requesting site inspection 10 a.m. on 15 January, and then say, hey, I'll be staying with you, reservation below. Is it possible for somebody to do a site inspection with me at 10 o'clock on the 15th? And then that will at least start the conversation back and forth. But if you say, I want to do a site inspection, I'm like, all right, what hotel, what day, are you staying there? Is it a day pass? That like, like, I need more information and the hotel needs more information, no back and forth of like, well, what day works for you? I don't know what day works for you. It's okay to give them a range, just like in sales, you don't want to say, do you want to go on vacation? Yes. Well, would you prefer a beach vacation or a city vacation? You're like a city vacation or a beach vacation. And then it leads you to the next step in the process. So you don't want to leave things too open-ended.
Well, Andy, as of right now, we do not have any more questions.
Okay. So if I know I'm kind of running over my hour, but I do want to show you one other section if people want to stay on. If not, I won't take offense, but I'm trying to be respectful of time too.
Do your thing.
Okay. So the last thing I want to show you is, remember I said before, there's things about like, client offers. What I normally do is I go to this promo in a bag section because there's really good detailed information here. So remember we talked about the difference between a truly contracted group where you're doing a contracted group versus you're doing individual bookings and putting a group code in. So the tour operators call that something different. We call that our group savings for every season. Some people call it flex groups, travel together, go away together, whatever. This is the PowerPoint that we did when the program first shifted last year. And the screen I want to point out to you guys is page 9. So again, your tour operator may have these dates should be the same for the tour operator, but as far as like when final payments are due and when stuff gets sent to the hotel, tour operators may vary. But the adult oriented brands have a certain high, mid, and low season. The family oriented brands, which are down here in the more aqua color, have certain high, mid, and low seasons. Depending upon when your guests travel, they could get every 5th, 6th, or 7th room comped. So again, when you're talking about wedding packages and things like that, you always want to keep in mind anything. Sometimes it'll say 5 rooms, but if that 5th room is comped, the hotel only counts it as 4. So you want to make sure you have enough rooms booked, which is why I say just book the bride and groom in the category that gets them the free wedding. And that way it doesn't matter if they only have one other person going with them, the bride and groom met that requirement. There are only really 3 blackout dates for this promo. So it's always near President's Day, Easter, and Christmas. So we have that listed through 2021. And in 2022, we're just waiting for, unless they got cut off, the Christmas blackout dates for 2022. So, but this is the page that I always refer to. And this is how the tour operators will be calculating the comps based on that flex group code that you have in your booking. So again, just to kind of show you guys where that was, you're in the media site, you go to the actual promo in a bag section, and then it has its own, if you want to see the PowerPoint, it has its own little heading in the middle. Okay, so that's where the group savings is. We have a lot of other different promotions that go on. So I actually click on promo in a bag, and Seize Your Sunshine's the current sale going for bookings through February 24th, where that's up to 2 kids free at family friendly hotels. And then we have a $50 spa credit per adult, a maximum 2 per room. So that's something that if you wanted to see the full terms and conditions, again, a tour operator should have that, but if you want to cross check it or something, it's there. our hotels, as we talked about, are all inclusive. However, due to COVID, they did start offering a breakfast plan. So they test marketed it for all hotels last year. And a few of the hotels had success with it. So they wanted to keep it on. So just make sure when you're booking your rooms, you do not book the room that has breakfast in front of it, because that means they're just getting breakfast, not the all inclusive. The list of the participating hotels is in terms and conditions. So we did talk about group savings for every season. I showed you that full PowerPoint, another copy of it's here, full terms and conditions. I think all of you guys are based in the US, so that's the one you want to make sure you're looking at. Canada has legally different rules, so they have their own thing, which is called groups that click. So make sure you're always looking at a US promo if it's your US based agent. Beyond Memorable is a very specific wedding package that gets them some events, but it's based on like 50 paid rooms, 75 paid room nights. So again, and it has to be booked a year in advance. There's all these terms and conditions. So I always live here for this one. And then Love at First Sight that we talked about. This is your Hail Mary pass to close a wedding group. It takes forever to find the request form in here, which is why I showed you how to find it when you're actually logged in. So again, this is something Hail Mary pass, but the form is much easier to find when you're logged in. We do have like a pop the question for engagements and things like that. And again, just some of the links to like the bachelorette package and stuff like that. So that's really the last major thing on the media site. As I said, you can explore this on your own. So the resort imagery is here for you to click around and kind of get a feel for hotels. There's different brand scripts, like what, again, kind of what I went over last week, but what's the difference between a Dreams and a Now? You know, what are the unique selling points of a particular hotel? Again, another link to promotional resources, video footage. These are, some of them are really old school. So a lot of times I always just say, if you're looking for videos, you might just want to follow some of the hotels on Facebook because they're posting good videos, more modern videos. And due to COVID, we have like one special company that does all of our photo shoots and professional video shoots. So he has not been out to a lot of the new hotels to add new video footage to this section. And again, another way to find resort contacts. So again, you're getting click around here as much as you want. You're not going to break anything, but make sure you use your resources first. Again, the BDMs are here to help you, but if you ask us a specific question, we may tell you, okay, like when I used to be driving, I'd be like, okay, I'm driving to Pittsburgh, but if you click here, click here, click here, this is where you find it. So again, make sure you're checking your resources. We are happy to help you, but check your resources first. And then again, if you're not seeing something and you want a second set of eyes before you email the hotel, happy to help. And then we can help construct that email to the hotel to be like, hey, you may need to update this. But they're normally really pretty good about having it complete. I give Dreams Natura a couple breaks because they are new to the family and a new hotel. So
Hey, Andy, this is Nina.
yes.
I wanted to address something that is kind of not related to what you're talking about, but
Okay.
typing it was just going to be a little bit too much information. So I wanted to
Sure.
address what's happening in the chat box right now. There was a question asked earlier about can felons get passports, and it's kind of a multifaceted question. And there was an
Yes.
answer in the, I get to kind of show off my legalese a little bit because
There you
that
go.
I was
There you
in law
go.
school. So I get to flex just a little bit.
Go for it.
There was a response. Well, I had actually put some information in to kind of guide the agent how to do the research because that is something that you can find on Google. But there was also a response that said check with your state to see what regulations are in place. And there was a response to that that said, it, you're either you can or you can't. And it's not that
Correct.
simple.
Correct.
But
So
it actually isn't that simple. It depends. States are regulated by themselves. So what may be legal in one state or maybe a regulation in one state may not be in the other. Yes, Terrera, it does. It absolutely depends on what the violation was. And it also depends on if that person is off parole or not. So it's some different things. It's kind of layered, which is why I directed the agent to conduct the research because it's going to be an if-then type of deal. If
well,
this
correct.
is,
Correct.
it's kind of layered.
So the offense and the charges are done at the state county level, but a passport is a federal document. So state.gov is where people get the paperwork to apply for their passport. and have to provide any supporting details. So what is required for a passport is normally labeled on state.gov because it's the US Department of State federally that is issuing a passport. Like I don't have a PA passport, I have a US passport. So
Exactly.
not to say that your charge happened at a state, and some states may consider something a felony, some may be, I'm not getting into the legalese of that, but I'm just saying, generally speaking, if somebody is blowing up their ex-boyfriend's car, they're probably not able to get a passport because they have a highly detailed, highly explosive criminal record. So I apologize. I didn't mean to start that whole tangent, but again, State Department, state.gov, that's how you get your paperwork to get your passport. And if there are questions or concerns, additional paperwork may be needed depending upon what's going on with a particular person applying for a passport. I know a weird thing, like when I bought my house and we were going to the closing table, they almost couldn't close on the house because their child support was in arrears and they're going to take it out of closing costs for the house. So like there's weird stuff all over the place. I'm not a legal person. I just know, I was just trying to say, if somebody's
It's
upset
funny
about
that you mentioned
something,
that too, because a person who owes child support, which is not federal, that's local.
right?
If you owe state child support, you cannot get a federally issued child passport. So
Mhm.
it's together. It goes together.
Yeah.
It depends
So
on
just make
what happens on the
sure. Yeah.
local.
Yeah. Yep. So, but I was
But
just basically saying that if you know somebody that really needs to let off some steam because it was a bad breakup, whatever, or not to make a political joke because our new president and vice president were sworn in today. But if somebody really hated Trump, they could put Trump's face on that and bash it up. I mean, I don't know, like it's basically a breakup thing. You could put someone's face on a pinata and get your aggression out that way in a fun, with open bar and all inclusive manner.
right, and not on the car. Do not do it on the car. But if you want
Exactly.
more
I always think of that.
information,
What's that? Is it Kelly Clarkson? Who's the one that sings, like basically she like beats the guy's truck up? Like, don't do a Kelly Clarkson or whoever that was. Like, don't do that.
please don't. But you can finish your research on Google. You can also go to the State Department and
Yes.
have your client to check that out. But you also are going to need some information from your client to find out what the offense was, and then you can kind of help them with that.
Well,
Okay,
and
back
again,
over to you, Andy.
so here's the thing. So your job as a travel agent is just to inspect their passport to make sure you are booking their reservation with the legal name that appears on their passport. And in most countries, you need to make sure that their passport is valid for 6 months post travel. So at the end of the day, your responsibility as a travel agent is to advise your clients, in order for me to book this trip, you need to have a passport that's valid at least 6 months past travel, which again, for most Caribbean destinations, that's a norm. For European destinations and other things, it could be longer and visas could be required, and it depends on how their passport's held. I'm talking specifically US passport holders. So you may want to ask them if they're holding a US passport or passport from another country. But generally speaking, US passports need to be valid for 6 months after their date of travel. Um, and to make sure you are spelling their name correctly. I had a luxury when I was a travel agent, I was in a face to face office. I would make my clients bring the passports to me, and I would literally type the name I saw on the reservation there and make sure that their passport was valid for 6 months. Like I would actually look at that. If they couldn't meet me in person, I would have them. This is back in the day of faxing. I'd have them fax me their passport because I was not going to be liable for issuing airline tickets wrong, because a lot of airlines, depending upon how bad you mess up the name, like, oh, my name is really like I had a friend of mine who his legal name is like Edmund, but he hates it. So I've known him as Brian. If I booked his airline tickets and I booked them as Brian Davis and he showed up to check in for a flight with Edmund, he would be denied boarding. So I only bring that up again. So just state.gov is how they get their passport. Your job is not necessarily how to be a passport coach for them, but your job as an agent is to make sure you have the correct information and you're advising the client what they need to travel. So what I will say fiduciary responsibility are really those two things. Your job is not to, help them apply for a passport per se, but just make sure they are going to the correct source, state.gov, and then following up with any additional people that they need to move forward in that process.
We do have back to our regular scheduled questions.
Sure. That's okay, but that's an important point because I mean, like, again, like if you don't, sometimes you don't want to ask, but you got to ask to make sure you're okay booking travel. So it's all
Exactly. No, but I'm glad that Nina and both you went through it so everyone has a clearer understanding of what they're supposed to do.
yes.
We do have a question that says, with the flyers, can we alter them with our contact information?
So the short answer is yes, you can't really change the content. So a lot of the flyers were designed to be printed out for us as BDMs to print out and put a stamp on or whatever at a travel show or for agents to pick up and put their stamp on it. I will tell you again, some tour operators have a marketing site that you can truly customize your own marketing pieces. So I thought that both Delta Vacations and ALGV, so all the ALG vacation brands, they actually have a marketing porthole that is more sophisticated than just you guys trying to doctor up what we have. So I'll just throw it out there. It's a tool, but there are other people who have mastered that a little bit better to make them like editable and customizable, and you can put your picture on it and all that kind of stuff. Ours is a little more basic. We'll get there, I swear. Once everybody gets back traveling and we could beef up our AMR agent website redesign budget, I swear I can't wait for this thing to be redesigned. It's great because the information's in there, but we just want to make it easier for everybody.
I have a lot of thank yous, great training, helpful information. Someone did ask, I'll let you answer. Do they need to complete the training in order to collect commission?
No. So this is a very important distinction. Thank you for bringing it up. So AM Resorts is a brand in its own little island, but what you need to make a booking is what the tour operator accepts. So if you call in with your IATA card, if you use your phone number to log into a system, you can certainly make your bookings. The reason we offer the AM Resorts training, the master agent training, is I'll be blunt with you, like compared to other people, like Sandals and Beaches is easy. You book somebody to Sandals, every room's a king bed, boom, you're done. Just from what I showed you guys today, just in bedding alone, you know what a detailed discussion that could become. Brands, which ones are family friendly, which ones are adult only. We are much more complicated than some of our competitors, which is why they wanted to design the master agent course. Because again, your BDM team's highly outnumbered. Not all agencies. So I really, like I said the first time, I love you guys as a family because you are pushing for individualized training for you guys so that you can always, keep your knowledge up and be better at what you do. I'm a total dork. I'm a nerd. I love learning. So I appreciate that, but not everybody does that. Like some people is just they get flailing on their own and nobody talks to them or mentors them or is their accountability partner or anything like that. So us doing the AMR Master Agent program was like, okay, I don't know who my BDM is. I don't know anything about these hotels, but I'm going to sell these things. So I'm going to learn about them. So that is kind of why the agent program is there. And then next week, we'll talk about rewards, which again is like separation of church and state. You could still make bookings. It's just we don't know that you're making bookings because we don't have access to tour operator partner data.
Well, I don't see any more questions.
They're like, get this girl off the screen. I'm tired of her voice. But I know it's a lot, but I wanted to make sure I was thorough with you guys because again, I don't know how often I'll get to interact with you guys. So I just wanted you to know it's there. And then, like I said, there's other trainings you can access from the website. So
yeah, we got a lot of thank yous, great trainings. Thanks for everything.
my pleasure. Thank you so much, guys, for wanting to learn more and take it to the next level. We appreciate your support.
If you have any questions, type it in the chat box before Andy goes away.
Well, I'll be back next week. So if something hits you later, make sure you write your question down because we'll be back same bad time, same bad channel next week, right? So AM Resorts is so complicated, we can't do it all in one training. So I feel you guys. I feel you. I'm here with you, but that's why we have these tools because it is a lot of information.
Okay. So I do want to thank Andy again.